trying to look at luck. Luck is incredibly hard to define. It's hard to put your finger on. Sometimes things go well, sometimes they don't. And is that some predetermined outcome that at the universe's whim? Maybe. Maybe there's factors to it beyond what we can imagine in the moment. B, you played in the NFL for over a decade. That's incredibly hard to do. You didn't really sustain injuries. That's incredibly hard to do. Did you consider yourself lucky along the way?
Not necessarily lucky. I'd say if you put in the work, it doesn't guarantee that nothing's going to happen. Nothing's not going to happen or whatever. But if you don't put in any work, you're damn sure not going to have any luck. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So as I look at last year, if things had happened like one here, one there, they were doing this stuff weekly. And it comes back to preparation, I believe. So anytime something happens and, at a certain moment, people are going to go, oh, that was good luck. But let's go beyond that. Let's go before that. Do they put the work in? Are they taking care of business? Or you have people that in some practices I've been around where they're just BSing all day, not putting in the work. They don't get any luck. It's amazing to me that season they had last year, we saw them repeat stuff. And people kept saying, you get to a point where when things become like just second nature to you, you can do it over and over again. But it seems like everybody is trying to just not give them any credit for last year. As if they just showed up on the scene and didn't work and just everything good happened for them. They put that work in. You were at practice. I was at practice. We watch it. And their leader in Jaden, hell, the dude put in more work than anybody out there.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But we could call anything luck.
Right.
Everything could be called luck. But it ain't all about just the luck.
So we bring this up because some data was released from a data scientist that works for the league that compiled a list of information. And the Commanders on this luck matrix, for lack of a better word, luck is determined or attempted to be determined by 4 factors. Dropped interceptions. So if a corner has a clear interception and they drop it. A dropped pass. If a receiver has a clear catch and they drop it. Missed field goals and fumble recoveries. Of those things, drop picks, drop passes, missed field goals, it's hard for me to only weigh that in as luck because there's there's such a massive human involvement in that you wonder if it's preparation, whatever it might be. Fumble recoveries, that's an oblong-shaped piece of leather. That thing bounces wherever it wants. I can hear it on fumble recoveries.
But the whole thing about it is still when does the effort come in? I'm watching the game last night. Oklahoma City and Indiana. At one point, Indiana was getting every loose ball. Was it luck or was it more hustle? Then all of a sudden, down the stretch, Oklahoma City got every damn ball because they worked a little harder. They played better. Down the stretch, they didn't make mistakes. Is that luck or is that effort?
Well, I think about, to me, if you're going to have a conversation about luck for the Commanders, the Hail Mary's at the top of the list, right?
Yeah.
And that Hail Mary, does that require an incredible bounce for Noah Brown to make that catch?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
But you know what else happened on that play? The Bears DB's jawing with fans on the opposite side of the field.
Yeah.
Is that dude prepared?
No, he wasn't.
Is that a team in that moment that is locked in for that play?
He wasn't.
So if you want to be super you could discount the Hail Mary as a lucky play. Yes. But one team was clearly locked in for it, and one team clearly was not. How does that tip the scales? And so in Fortier's story, there are some moments. I think of the comeback win against the Eagles when, granted, it was Kenny Pickett in there, but I think it was Devontae Smith dropped what would have been a first down.
Mm-hmm.
I think of that moment, right? I think of the two mentions Fortier puts in his story are against the Saints when Washington got bullied in the second half of that game. They held on for dear life and they got a win, right? And Juwan Johnson, the big tight end, had a chance to catch a 2-point conversion and dropped it.
Mm-hmm. But is that luck or is that just lack of concentration on his part?
So Dan Quinn was asked about this. I assume Sammy asked him. And DQ said, when you're competing hard, I don't know if that's luck or if that's Noah I hanging on you. It's not like you're giving catches away. Like there is defensive ball.
Or just a bump here or there or something throwing your timing off. See, sports is not about just luck. It's about what do you do to hinder a person? If you and I were to go out and you run a route, you run it perfectly. Quarterback throws the ball where it's supposed to be. I happen to grab your jersey just a little and tug you. Ref don't see it. You just missed the ball by that much. Was that luck? Or was it me throwing off your timing? And a ref missing a call. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, I don't think football is that simple where we can just say good luck or bad luck.
So let's think about the Giants game, week 2. There was a massive factor that unfolded in that game in week 2. Washington was 0-1. They needed a win.
They kicked 7 field goals?
There was a massive factor for the New York Giants in that game that affected the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
The Giants kicker got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the Giants had to keep going for it on 4th downs, had to go for it on 4th and 4 near the end zone, didn't get it. They couldn't kick field goals because their kicker got hurt. You and I were also told they were worried about the kicker coming in.
Yes.
They had an extra kicker on their practice squad. They did not elevate that kicker Saturday night.
So we consider that luck for Washington because the Giants were relatively stupid.
I don't know that we can determine what it is.
I'm talking about the person that's doing this. You know, so he considered that luck. Because, well, what if they had made every one of their 2-point conversions?
Now, Malik Neighbors dropped the ball on a 4th down. That was huge.
Somebody hanging on him?
Malik Neighbors, though, in that game, made 10 catches. Some of them were outrageous.
Yes.
Are some of those lucky, or is just the drop lucky for Washington? I think there's a few things that I wanted to point out. And I pointed this out last year. Whenever this conversation comes up, I point this out. I think Washington last summer, specifically, I want to credit Dan Quinn, Adam Peters, whoever it was that had this idea. There's a fellow by the name of Dave Gardy that worked at the NFL league office up in New York for over 20 years.
Yep.
For the league, he was senior vice president of football operations. So his job with the league was actual how games operate, right?
Yep.
Washington got him to leave the league office to take to my understanding, maybe other teams have this, but I know Washington had never had this. He was, you've heard people talk about, they need somebody to tell the coaches when to use their timeouts, when to go for it on 4th down.
Yeah.
Like, they hired a dude to do that.
Yep.
That's what Dave Gardy's role was. From the official website, it says Gardy will handle a number of in-game management duties and will support the coaching staff and front office on compliance with league protocols, officiating trends, and health and safety guidelines. During the game, they have a dude whose job is to be like, when you use your timeouts, going into or out of a 2-minute warning, when you go for it on 4th down. You know how good they were on 4th down last year? That wasn't an accident.
Yeah.
You have a coach that's aggressive. You have an incredible quarterback who's poised and can use his legs. And they are diving into the numbers of this stuff in advance all the time.
Yeah.
Gardy worked for the league for 20 years. He was a quarterback at Brown. So you've got an Ivy League smart dude that played quarterback and worked for the NFL for 20 years.
Yep.
That's his job, is to help you in close games finish them out. That's not an accident. That's not luck. Now, You doink a field goal in the wild card round. Okay, it bounced in instead of bouncing out. Maybe that's luck, but everything that led to that moment to win your first playoff game in 20 years on the road was preparation.
Yeah. But like the thing of it is, you may have luck in certain moments. Eventually, what work you put in is going to be paying off, right? And for them to be in their third playoff game in the year, that luck had passed by already. It was now who they are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they ran into a buzzsaw at the end, point blank. So were the Eagles lucky that they had all those turnovers? You see what I'm saying? So it's like, let's stop trying. I mean, I don't know. It seems to me like I've read more stories and heard more stories about why they shouldn't get any credit than I've heard about, damn, they really put in work.
I like this. This is a tweet I got from David Bovey. He said, there's a difference between luck and clutch. And I would say clutch is another thing that's really hard to define. But I do think
luck rarely happens. Clutch consistently happens.
Well, I think Gardy's role is important to point out. I think the way they practice. We were out there for minicamp.
Mm-hmm.
This is June minicamp last week. The level of intensity in the 2-minute drills at the end of practices with referees there, that wasn't luck. That was June.
I'm going to take you back a little bit.
That was June.
I'm going to do a little back pedal here. Remember, I came down. I usually not go to the training camp down in Richmond.
Yeah.
And then one day I rolled in and I told you I came because I kept hearing all the people writing these stories about how physical they were practicing, how tough the practices were. And then when I got there, what did I say? Like, this is what they call physical? I saw more physicality and intensity in that 2-minute thing we talked about from the other day than I saw in some of the full padded practices when they were down in Richmond under other staffs. You know what I'm saying? So just that, working like you're about to play a football game and not just going through the motions makes you better and make you have a better chance of winning. Is that luck?
And then there's one, I mean, the way they practice end game situations, they practice 2-minute. I think if you look, maybe somebody can run these numbers, but they were so good at the end of first halves stealing points.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got 58 seconds. Let's get 3 here. They were so good at getting the field goals, touchdowns late in first halves. That's not luck. That is coached. That is taught. That is planned for.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference when you get to the end of the game. Oh, we got that extra 3 just before halftime.
Yeah, I can take you back, Jay. Remember, I used to always get mad when Jay was here that they always came out the game, start off the game slow, and they started the second half slow. Remember that?
Yeah.
What the hell is going on in practice at halftime if when you come out of halftime, you are looking worse than you did going into it? This team doesn't do that. It's what you put into your practice. There are a lot of people that go out to practice and they just really believe that just going through those simple motions is practice. When you practice for specific things, like you said, they game plan certain situations. When you do it at a high level, when you have to do it, it's not a problem anymore. It's just second nature. You don't have to build up something to get there because that's what they're already gone through. So I don't think I'm a lean more towards preparation than I am towards luck.